Yes, we're out during the day, and it's still really busy.
On the ground, male and female feeding the male on the ground. There's a third male watching. Number one is a male black, unknown shirt, plaid shorts. Last seen entering the apartment complex is Stanton and Pinshot. Number two is a female white wearing a blue shirt.
I'll be out with the male now. Blackout. The other ones went up the railroad track.
The railroad tracks.
Which way, Mark?
We're going to be walking right away towards the riverbed.
You're right here?
Hello and welcome to Crime Watch. I'm Jane Cameron with Sergeant Chris Nunez of the Buena Police Department. We're out during sunshine. We're not being vampires tonight.
Right. We thought we'd change it up for the viewers.
Well, we started out today with a very interesting call. Officer Boyer, you were one of the responding officers. What started all this?
Well, we received a call about a fight going on and somebody might be getting stomped on the ground, is how it came out on the radio on Stanton and 11th. I responded to the area, and there was a description of 3 subjects that came out, and I saw 2 subjects that matched 2 of the descriptions right here on these railroad tracks in Stanton. It was a female and a male, and I actually spoke to these people earlier in the day regarding a possible fight. As with the call earlier and this one, when we arrived, there was no fight going on. However, the male was drunk in public, and that's what he's being arrested for. So overall, we didn't find a fight going on, but we are getting somebody for drunk in public.
You know, it's interesting that officers can find these reports that come out. How important is it that you're getting a description in order to identify the situation?
It's very important. There's a lot of pedestrians out here in Buena Park, and if they just give a general description of it's a male or a guy with short hair, and we'd be stopping everybody. So there was a pretty accurate description of the subjects this time, which is normally what happens with especially with our dispatch and our officers. Their level of training and experience and professionalism just shows all that.
Sergeant Nunez, as somebody who may be just driving down the street, as a lot of the traffic here is doing, what is it the drivers should get as far as information to help the officers identify situations?
Of course, detailed information is important. If there's a vehicle involved, the number one thing we would like to get is a plate number, license plate, but then accurate description of the vehicle. and of the people as well, and location, and what's happening now. Now the dispatchers will prompt the callers through answering all those questions. So a lot of times, people who call the police, especially when they're witnessing a crime in progress, want to tell their story, and the dispatcher's job is to not only listen and take in that information, but kind of direct the conversation. So at times it seems as though the dispatchers don't want to listen to what you're trying to tell them, but the quickest way to collect that information so that it can get broadcasted to the officers in the field is to just answer the dispatcher's questions.
I know that when this call was initially dispatched, we were very, very close. And yet we went to the first location and we couldn't find anybody. We were helping you.
Right. Well, that's true. I mean, it was coincidence that when this call was broadcasted, we were a couple hundred yards away. So we were actually first on scene, and even though it was put out initially as a fight in progress, like Officer Boyer said, someone was getting stomped. We couldn't find anything going on where the call was being broadcasted at. But it was close by, but just and it might seem insignificant to the viewers watching, but we were just one street over, and from where we're at, you can actually see both places, both locations. But with directing officers coming in, resources coming in, we had people heading down the railroad right away, and other officers out with a subject who we thought might have been a victim of this fight, and we're kind of far apart. So again, having accurate information as quickly as possible is really important.
And I think the dispatchers did a great job, because I heard on the radio they were saying that the female was walking towards the auto center. So even just the direction of where they're walking or driving must be important too.
Right. And a lot of times it's interesting that callers that witness something out on the streets don't necessarily know where north is or where south is, or they're not familiar with directions like that. So again, the dispatchers will prompt you with asking for landmarks, that sort of thing. And direction of travel is important, because we have resources coming into the area from different locations. So it's one of those things where there's an influx of information, can be very chaotic, and incorrect information makes things more confusing. So again, for those viewers that call in with information, it is important for them to have good recall. If you have to, write stuff down, take notes, and then just answer the dispatcher's questions as you're calling in or reporting a crime if you happen to witness something.
If you've been watching this show for any length of time, you know that a police officer's job is not about catching the bad guys, but it's everything, being a counselor, a family therapist, I don't know what else, an EMT. So what is going on here?
Well, evidently, the woman behind us that the officers are talking to was wandering around the CarMax dealership property, and so the employees there made contact with her and discovered that she was disoriented and wasn't really answering their questions, and it just wasn't real coherent. So they called the police, and turns out that she matched the description of a missing adult.
And does she have some type of medical problem?
Well, we're not really sure. Just a little bit of information I got from the officers when we arrived was it's possible that she may have some kind of a mental disorder or mental illness, but we're not exactly sure. So because of the missing person report that was filed earlier today, we were able to identify her as that missing person and make contact with family, her family.
You're lucky that there was a report filed. Do people have to wait a certain amount of time before they can file a missing person for an adult?
No, absolutely not. That's that's a myth. If someone suspects that someone else is missing, there's no time requirement. You can make that missing persons report, and any law enforcement agency will take that report.
So fortunately, that was in place. If somebody does they're in a situation where there's a mental illness, obviously that's beyond the capabilities of the police officers. I know you have a huge bag of tricks, but I know that's not in it. Is there any type of a government agency that can help with situations like that?
Oh, sure. Probably the very first line of assistance for folks that have this kind of ailment as an adult are Adult Protective Services. A county organization, and they get involved, and from there, that's kind of the conduit to direct resources regarding any number of concerns that an individual might have. So when we go out on calls and we find folks in distress of many different types of situations, Adult Protective Services might be the county resource that we turn to as well.
I would think that the law enforcement and agencies would need to have quite a few references within the county government system to know where to get the extra help that you need for handling unusual situations.
Right. We're usually kind of the lead or point governmental agency that makes contact. But certainly, this is out of our expertise, and once we get there, and what we're interested in is making sure that folks are being taken care of, their immediate needs are addressed, determine if there's any crime that may have occurred. Of course, we write reports, we document the incident, and then turn to the responsible agency that would handle something like this. So of course, Adult Protective Services, Orange County Mental Health, there may be any number of organizations that may play a role in providing assistance for this woman.
So we're at the Howard Johnsons. The officers are up there at one of the rooms. What's going on?
Well, management had called the police to check on someone who was checked into this room. I guess his checkout time was 11 o'clock, and he didn't check out. So the motel staff went to the room to see if he had left, and it was deadbolted from the inside. So they knew he was there, but he was refusing to talk to them.
What can officers do in a situation like this?
Well, that's a good question, because really our authority is somewhat limited. But first of all, we're here to assist the management of the business. Secondly, our immediate concern is that the hotel guest is okay. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon for people to be in distress. That will leave their home and go to an area and kind of hide out in a motel room. That has happened even here. We have a number of area motels where we have gone to the business to assist management with checking on a guest.
In a situation like this, though, where maybe they don't want to leave, would the officers be able to knock the door down? Once the officers are on scene, and I know in this particular case, I was just up there, so I do know that the officers were able to confirm that
there was someone in the room, and even though they know, the guest knows that it's the police inquiring, he refused to unlock the door from the inside. They even used motel staff who was bilingual to call inside and attempt to speak Spanish. That didn't work. He was just refusing to unlock the door from the inside, despite the fact that it was hotel management and the police asking him to come to the door.
So does it end at a standstill if you can't convince the person to unlock it?
Well, if it kind of depends. If the police can determine that there's some other circumstance, maybe they're able to ascertain that there's a medical emergency, or maybe they're able to see through that little crack in the door that there's contraband inside, or something of that nature, where they could take additional enforcement action. Absent of something like that, then it's going to be management's call. To what extent they want to, they're willing to enable the police to do. So, in this case, because it is a motel, and the laws consider motels and hotels kind of an extension of your home when you're renting a room. You have to be, the police have to be very careful about following the rules in terms of Fourth Amendment and so on.
Was she already in there when you guys got here?
Yeah, she, I think that was all more currently in the lobby getting further.
Thanks. All right. I'm going to put some leads on you. Check out your heart stuff, okay?
Further down.
You're looking at me. Keep your eyes open.
Adam, let's check her sugar, just rule out what we can since she's acting this like this way.
Those guys are
Does she have a seizure history?
I don't know. Do you have any kind of medical problems? You have seizures? No? You have heart problems, diabetes? We either know or you don't.
Interesting. There's two persons here.
Well, this one is just kind of like a throw down makeup test. The other one is a regular makeup.
I gotta check your finger.
You got it?
Just look through all this already?
I just got her ID.
Okay.
All right, what did you take today?
There's no prescription, there's no.
Hey. Hey,
There's a bin
what did
on
you
the
take
ground.
today?
Okay, I know.
You just checking your blood sugar.
It's okay.
What did you take today? I know you took something because your heart's going way too fast. Huh?
Well, it looks like now the ambulance, the paramedics, everybody's leaving.
Right.
What was going on here?
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, the call was people in this room were refusing to check out. They paid for one night. Checkout time was 11. It's now almost 1:30 in the afternoon. So the maid staff wanted to get into the room to clean it up, but it was deadbolted from the inside. And so they tried calling inside, no response, no answer. So obviously, in order for the room to be deadbolted inside, someone would have to be inside. So they called the police. Management asked if the police could do what they could to get inside and find out what was happening with the folks there, and ask them to leave. So they were able to determine that there was someone inside, but they wouldn't unlock the door. So eventually they do manage to make it into the room, and it looks as though the room was rented by a male subject. However, there was just a woman alone upstairs in the room. So the weird thing was she was conscious. She appeared to be in good physical condition, but verbally would not respond. So towards the end of the contact up there, we were able to determine that she could hear and understand, and were able to communicate a little bit by allowing her to write on a piece of paper. So it's possible that she just couldn't speak. She could hear and understand, but just couldn't speak. So didn't admit to taking any drugs, even though the officers found some potential paraphernalia. They didn't find any illicit substance, but there was plenty of time for for the people in the room to discard that before the officers got inside. So long story short, there's still potential that there may be some unknown medical circumstance wrong with her, so she's being transported to the emergency room.
Wow, what a crazy situation. It's fortunate, it sounds like, that the officers were able to finally get into that room.
Yeah, and I was down here with you, so I'm not exactly sure how they did that. Those bolts from inside of the room, you flip them over, there's a latch at the top, allows you to open the door an inch or so, but the door is definitely secured. So that's what was preventing the officers from getting inside. Somehow they managed to defeat that locking mechanism and get in there. The strange thing is she was fully clothed, lying in a bathtub full of water, so obviously there are a number of things that start running through the officer's mind, just in terms of what might be wrong with her, including being under the influence.
Well, at least she's getting some help now going to the hospital.
Right. We never did find the male, and you're right, she's off to the emergency room. So if she is either sick, requiring medical care for some unknown medical reason, the emergency room will be able to address that. Or if she is in fact under the influence of something, they'll be able to treat for that, once they figure out what she may have ingested.
If you have any questions about today's show, you could call the Buena Park Police Department at 562-3901, or we're on the internet at bppd.com. With Sergeant Chris Nunez of the Buena Park Police Department, I'm Jane Cameron. Thanks for watching.
Be sure to like us on the official City of Buena Park Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. There you'll find a little of everything, from information about our city services and upcoming events to discounts offered by our entertainment attractions such as Knott's Berry Farm, Medieval Times, and Pirates Dinner Adventure.